I'm Misty. Welcome. Would you like to make some bread today? I get so excited when I make tortilla shells. They're so much fun, and once you learn to make them, you don't want to go back to store-bought ever again. So I hope you like this recipe. I hope you like getting with your kids or your grandkids and making your own tortilla shells because there's so many ways to do it and so much fun you can have with it. So today what I did was I had, usually I do 3 cups of unbleached organic flour, and then I'll use 1 cup of hot water, and then I'll use a teaspoon of salt. I don't usually use that much salt, and you don't have to if you're on a low sodium diet. However, they make so many that it's distributed throughout the different tortilla shells that I don't worry about the sodium content as much. So on top of that, I like 1/3 of a cup of extra virgin organic olive oil. That's how I always make my tortillas. That's my basic recipe. But I wanted something a little more exciting and nutritious, and I love to put more fiber in them if I can. So sometimes I'll put flaxseed meal in them, and sometimes I'll use buckwheat flour, and I love to use spinach. So today, what I did was put the water in the microwave. I do a cup of water with about 6 ounces or so of fresh spinach. Then I take my NutriBullet and I puree that, and it creates this beautiful green water to add to my tortilla shells. The other thing I did today was added some quinoa to that. So quinoa is just such a wonderful little seed that provides a complete protein, and that's what's great about it. It can be very bland, so a lot of people, they either like it or they hate it, but you can just season it so well to make it work in any recipe that it in replace of rice or any grains that you're trying to avoid. So this is one of my little tortilla shells. You can see it's a little bit green. It's not thin enough yet though, so I have to roll it out a little bit more. So once I get all of my ingredients together, I knead that flour for about a minute or two. I want to incorporate all of the ingredients together. Sometimes it's a little sticky. It's better to be a little sticky and add flour to it as you roll it out than it is to have it too moist and have to, or have it too dry and have to add liquid to it. That's not fun at all. So my skillet is heated. It's on about a 2 or a 3. I'm taking my tortilla shell and I'm rolling it out here on the counter nice and thin. I just take it each time and just roll it over again. I was reading in John today. I don't know how many times, it's at least 4 or 5 times I have been led to the same passage of scripture for the past week and a half, and it's just amazing. What is God trying to tell me in that? Because I keep looking at it over and over again. The first time I looked at it, I was trying to come up with an activity to teach my 3 of my grandsons. I have 6. I was trying to teach them the story about Jesus walking on water in the storm, and so we made little popsicle sticks and created a little sailboat and put it on the makeshift sea that we put together. And it had rained a lot, and we had a little stream we could float those sailboats on. So I wanted to teach them about that scripture. 30 to 40 seconds. Depends on how hot your skillet is. Just keep an eye on it. If you overcook it, you're going to have crackers instead of tortilla shells. I want them nice and flexible, so I'm going to try to keep my mind on this and talk and roll out the next one and get it ready too. So back to the story of Jesus. He had fed the 5,000. And so later that evening, he knew that they wanted to make him a king by force. So he went to the mountain to pray by himself. And the disciples get out on the boat, and they're out on the water. and they're rolling around shore, and the wind comes up and it's blowing them all over the place, and they look out and they see him walking towards them, and he gets in the boat with them. And the very next day, the crowd finds him. They're so fascinated with him. And he says to them, you know, you're, my words, not his. They were after him for the food. They wanted more bread. And you know what he says to them? You know what he says to them. He says, I am the bread of life. Tells them he's the bread of life. No one would go hungry if they partake of him. No one goes thirsty. Because spiritually, that's who we need, isn't it? We're all going to be hungry again. As delicious as our little tortilla shells are, they're going to not satisfy the body very long. The belly is really good. In the belly, they're really good. But spiritually, we need Jesus. So I like to teach my little ones about Jesus when we play games and when we make food. I can tell them that Jesus is the bread of life. And I hope you can too. So there we go. We're ready for our next one. This recipe, if you use the full 3 cups, it makes sometimes 18, 24. It depends on how big I make them. And you can see they're not perfectly round. Mine are always odd shaped, but they are so delicious and so easy to store. So once they cool, I'll put them in a Ziploc bag and I'll store them in the refrigerator, and they'll stay there 7 to 10 days in that refrigerator. And as I use them, I'll take them out, put them in the microwave for 10 to 12 seconds to warm them up. And I'm ready to eat whatever. Put all my vegetables in it, load it up, enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it too. Once you start making them, like I said, you won't go back to store-bought. You won't want to. And there's so many fun things you can do with them. So leave me a comment. Let me know how you amp up your tortilla shells and how you teach your kids about Jesus as you cook or as you play throughout the day. Don't forget, Jesus is the bread of life. You have a great day.